Hi folks, so this question here is based on the topic of isometric projection, and the question itself would actually be from a Leaving Cert syllabus, okay? They don't often come up in the Leaving Cert higher level exam, they may come up in an ordinary level exam, but this question here would be a good skills test of your understanding of isometric projection, okay? You would have maybe previously done this for junior cycle graphics, and the objects you may have done might have been a bit more, I suppose, block shaped, whereas you can see here we kind of have lots of curves in our figure. Okay, so what we've been given is we've been given an elevation view, we've been given a plan view, okay, and the actual isometric box is already set up for us. Okay, you can kind of see it here where our isometric axes are set or inclined at 30 degrees. So our height goes up here, our length and our width, okay, which it all would have been taken from here. Okay, now what we also have is, excuse me, we have a partially completed full-scale version of our elevation here. Okay, they haven't drawn the full bit, but they've kind of given us half of it. They've also kind of got this little arch here, okay, this little quadrant, which is represented over here, and they've drawn out the full-scale version. And for a question like this, we're actually going to have to break it up into parts because we've got lots of curves, and we're going to have to use ordinates to complete it. Okay, I have also then myself drawn in this little semicircle here to represent the top archway of the door, which has a radius of 27. So I just literally have done a semicircle there with a radius of 27, the diameter would be 54. And I'm going to have to use ordinates there as well to help me out to draw that. So starting off, what I'm actually going to focus on is I've done a little, what I'm going to assume is going to be close to the final result here of my 3D sketch. I've done a little sketch here just to help me visualize the object. You can see here it's kind of quite complex. You can even see here the curve here, and it starts to curve downwards. So there's quite a bit of work in that section there. What I'm going to focus on first though is this little front face here, okay, and I'll put in the door afterwards, okay. I'm going to focus on this front face, and once I have the front face, I'll then get the back edge here and we'll focus on this section then, okay. So what we're going to use to complete this question is ordinates. Now, if I just use my compass here, now they've only drawn in a half version kind of the elevation here. They've kind of drawn in this section of it here. They've left out this door section over here, okay. But what I'm actually going to do is, you can see here, there's a radius going from this point here. It doesn't tell us what it is, but we already have the arc. So if I was just to put that on there, and I'll check this now, just to be certain. There we go. Let's say I was to continue that on. Now I don't have to, but I'm just going to continue that arch on there. Now, I know it is symmetrical because we have a center line here, and if I was to continue this top point over, that would be the height of it on the opposite side, which is there. So this point right here is this point up here, which has a height of 46 plus 28. If I add the two of them together, it adds up to 40, 20, 60. It would be 68, 74. Okay, so that means I know I have to go up 74 here. Okay, I've also got lengths down here at the bottom in my plan, going to 32 and 70, which gives me this front edge here. Now don't get confused, you can see this little line going up here. So that's 102. So I'm going to put in some measurements there to start off. Okay, just to give us a little guide. So I'll start off measuring 70 plus 32, which is 102. I'm going to measure 102 back. Be as accurate as we can with this now. And having done that, I'm now going to put in just a construction line very lightly. Up there like that. That little line that I'm after drawing in there is after sectioning off where that section here is going to fit inside. Now I know the height here goes up 74 on this side. So I'll just get my other set square there. And I'm actually going to just measure 74 up. Okay, happy with that. Now that's 74. Just to identify it there to you a little bit better. That line that I've just drawn there is slightly representing this one over to here. Technically it's over to this point right here. Okay, now what I actually have to do is I have to draw the rest of this curve up here. I've got the start point. Now there's a couple of ways we could go about this. We could break it up into heights, okay, or depending on the height of this, I'll just check, what is it? It is saying it's about 25 millimeters. That's probably the one I'll actually go with. It'll be the easiest because I can break that up easily. Or I could break it up lengthways like this, which is saying 65, and I could do maybe, I don't know, would be 13s or something like that. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to break it up into heights. So the height difference between the top of the arch down to this line here is 25. So I'm actually going to break it up using in multiples of 5. So I'll just literally do 5, 10, 15, 20. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Now what I'm actually doing is, obviously this one is 25 down. What I'm actually doing here is I'm actually breaking it up into coordinates or ordinates. And it's helping give me some points on the curve. You can see here now. So I'll break those across. Okay, now that is helping to identify to me some various points on the curve. I have this point here already, which is over here. Now I'm going to be able to find this one, this one, this one, this one, and then finally into this one. I might have to put another one in there when the curve starts to get elongated in here. Okay, I might break up another one just there. Okay, now there's a couple of ways you could do this, but what we're going to do simply is we're going to take the distance with our compass. It's probably the most accurate. I'm going to take the distance from this point right here all the way into my center line. Okay, take that distance there. I'm going to come over here now and I'm going to mark it off. That point right there is going to be helpful to me because along that point, okay, by drawing a line up, I have now found the top point of the curve, which is this point up here. Okay, now what I can do after that is I want to measure down 5, 10, 15, 20, like we did over here. Same concept. So it's 25 down, so I'm going to measure 5, then to 10, then to 15, then to 20. Okay, with all those little marks done, I'm now going to extend out, just looking, this first one, yeah, it does give me a 1, so I will extend this one out to the left and the right. So I'll extend this one out here. This one here, I'm just going to go out this way. Likewise with this one. And then this one. Okay, I didn't extend them out here because if you see from the second one down, it only goes over to here. Okay, I'll be able to take that height in a minute, directly off the sheet. So, once again, refer back to my compass. And from the second one down, okay, everything is going to be measured from the middle line here. From the second one down, I'm going to take the distance, just to mark it there, out to this point right here. Then I'll take it out to this point, from the third one, out to this one from the fourth, the fifth, and so on. So the very first one, I'm going to take it out here, take that distance there, I'll come to the second point down, I'll mark it off, and I'll also mark it off on the opposite side. Okay, so I marked it there and there. Now what I'm going to do is come down to the next one, take that distance out, do the same with the next one. Then the next one. And obviously the last one was previously done for me, just to check the accuracy. Yep, happy with that. Okay, now the next one I'm actually going to do before I put in my curve, okay, is I'm actually going to take the height from this point down here, okay, just to refer to you there, this point down here, up to here. So I'll take that vertical height on my compass, right there, come down to this point here, and mark it up. Okay. Now, at this point, what I would do is, as best I can, I would freehand sketch in that curve. Now, I notice there's a long section here, but do it as best I can. Starting off very lightly. And from this point here, should go through that. And there we have that front section. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to heavy that in. Okay, so that's that bit done. Having got that done, I will now heavy in this section. And this section. Okay, so there's that bit done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the door, and then I'll focus on the back section after that. Okay, so for the door, if we actually look up here, we've got a measurement of a radius of 27 here for the door. Okay, and it's coming from this point here. So now just a little bit of maths here to work out this distance here. Okay, if this is 27, if you follow this line down, it's saying down to the end it's 32. So that means 32 take 27, this little gap here is going to be 5. Right in there, that's going to be 5, because once I subtracted 27 from 32, that's 5. Okay, so that means I can mark in 5 from the end, 5 in from 0, and then 27 and 27, 54 is my diameter, because that's going to be the distance from there to the other part of the door over here. It's going to measure 54 exactly. And that section there between those 2 points that I've just found is going to be where my door fits inside. Once again, very, very lightly. So that little section in there is where the door is going to be. And now maybe this bit and this bit. Okay, now the next job I have is obviously getting in the arch up here. But before I even get in the arch, the height of the door before it starts to curve is up 46 millimeters. So that's what I can do next. I can mark up 46. So 46 up to there. Having marked up to 46, just project a light line across. And this will help determine to me the next part of the door. Now what we want to do is we want to focus on the semicircle up here. Okay, now if the radius is 27 from the middle, it's going to be up 27 more. Not even from the middle, but from over here. So I'm going to measure up 27 on one side. It's almost right to the top, just underneath it. So after doing that 27, just to show you the area it's going to fit inside, there's a little rectangle there that I'm after drawing. Okay, that isometric rectangle is to represent this semicircle here. Now, what we can do is there's another method, like we did over here, we could actually break it up into ordinates. But usually what we do with a semicircle is we're going to break it up into 30, 60 degrees. So 30 degrees that way. Likewise at the other side. Then we'll go 60 degrees. Flip it over. Do 60 degrees this way. And finally, a vertical line through the middle. Okay, now all of those will actually have various heights. I'm actually going to just, for the 30 degree line, I'm going to come out. For the 60 degree line, I'm going to come out. And then for the vertical line, I'm going to come out. I'll do down to here, down to here, and down to here. Okay. Put little arrowheads in there. Okay, so this is what we can do. For this 30 degree line, if we take it as, look, point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now 1 and 7 are at the same height, they're on the ground. So if that was 1 and that is 7, then over here is 1 and over here is 7. Okay, because if you imagine it, 1 to 7 is going around this way. I'll actually number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 is on the ground. So then we got 1 there, 7 over here. Now, the height for 2 and 6 is the same. I've only brought out the 6 one, but because we went 30 degrees both ways, the height for 2 and 6 will be the same. And the height for 2 and 6, I would then take that on my compass. So I'd take that height there, that height right there. I would come to the line here. I'm going to mark that up. I would then take the height for number 3 and 5, just there. Once again, mark that up. And the last height is number 4, which is at the very top, which I've already put in. Okay. Having taken those, I've now projected the 30-degree line like this. And there we go. And somewhere along this line here is going to be 2 and 6. Along this line is going to be 3 and 5. And at the very tip top, I'm going to have number 4. Now, the last thing we have to do is just work out the distances from the middle. Okay. I know the distance in there is 54. Half of 54 is going to be 27. So I'm just going to mark from here. I'm going to mark in 27. Having marked that 27, I'll now do a vertical line. This is probably the easiest way. Now that vertical line is to represent the number 4 because it's in the middle. If I follow it up, that's where number 4 is going to be, right there. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. We are now going to take the distance from the middle, just to show you here, sorry, should have done these actually, apologies, should have put them in. There we go. Now from the middle line, I'm going to take the distance for number 5, like that distance right there. Okay, from the 4 line out to number 5, which would be the same as the distance out to the 3. And I'll come down to this point here in the middle, and I'll mark it this way and this way. I'll then do the same distance, sorry, the opposite distance, sorry, I should say a different distance for number 2, which would be the same as then the number 6. And I'll come down to the next one. I would mark the 2, and finally I would mark the 6. And there we go. That's all my points. So what I'll do at this stage now is, as best I can, once again freehand in that curve. So you can see there's a lot of detail in this, in being able to complete it. Once I've got the curve done, start going over it a little bit heavier. So there we have that. That's the front section. Now what I want to do is I want to get the inside portion. Now the inside portion, you can see here, down here where the door is, it goes back at 30 millimeters. So project back at 30 degrees. And then what I would do is I would measure 30 millimeters. So I'm just going to measure from 15 back to 12. That would be that section. Then it will go up. And as far as I can tell, based on the number 7 here, yeah, that's all we would see. We wouldn't actually see it start to curve at the back. So from there, heavy that in, and heavy this in. There we have it. The inside portion is complete. Now what I'm going to focus on is this section up here. So from all of these points that I previously found, I'm going to project at 30 degrees. So 30 degrees this way. I'll do the same for this one. Same for this one. Same for this one up here. Finally the same for this one. And the same for this one. Okay, every one of them, like this one here, will go back 30 millimeters. So what I'm going to do, rather than measuring with my set square every time, I'm going to take the distance of 30, which I've previously measured here, like that. Okay, I can do it on the protractor, or sorry, the set square if I want. I'm just going to take it from here, and from every one of these points, I'm going to mark it off. So there, from my next point in, I'm going to mark it off. And the next point, mark it off, and continue those steps. So every one of them has to be back at 30 millimeters, and you can see it here, it's matching up, happy with that. This one here, put in that very lightly, and finally with this one. Now, just very lightly, not this probably isn't correct here, as in I don't need to put it in, but I'm just going to do it ever so lightly, just to give me a guide of what the curve looks like. So through all the points, there we go. So I'll heavy in this section here now. So there's that bit done. I would now heavy in this section. Okay, so you can see that section is starting to take care of itself. The reason I haven't heavied it in down here is because at a certain point down here, this is where it's going to hit. Okay, which is really important, and we're going to have to get in that curve there before we complete this section over here. Okay, so there's still a bit of work left in this actual object. Now what I would do is to figure that out. You can see here I've got the actual distance here from the center, okay, which is this line right here. I should actually project that down just to have that put in. That was my center line. I'm just checking that, yeah, so we're doing 554, and yeah, that's looking about right. And what I would do then is I would take the distance for that using my compass, because they don't actually tell us what it is. Could measure it. I'm going to take that distance there. From here to here, the hidden detail is identifying to us that edge at the back. So I'll take that distance right there, where the hidden detail is here. That's showing us where this back corner is right here. Okay. I'm actually going to mark it from, I'm just thinking here, I'll mark it from here at the top. I could mark it at the bottom, but I'm actually going to mark it at the top. So from the center point at the top, mark it there along the line. Then project out at 30 degrees. And just checking, should I have marked it along there? And it actually go down a little bit, I've just realized. So from there, I should have probably brought it down actually, because the curve will be going the same distance at the back, and from there then, that's actually what I should have done. And then from there, I take that 30 distance again, because it's still out 30 millimeters. So that 30 millimeters, grab it from here. Now come down to this point where it was on the curve. There we go. So that's telling me where it is, right there. I was doing it from the top, it actually should have been here, so I brought it down rather than bringing it out. So be careful of that. Okay, now that point right there, that one right there, is actually this point here at the back. Okay, now the next bit it's actually going to come out is, it doesn't start to slope downwards just yet. So from here, and continue on that curve as I said, but from here, there's a heavy line right there. There's also going to be a construction line here. I'll bring it down from this point up here to make the face, and that's actually going to identify to me this other heavy line right here. There we go. And what that's actually identifying to me now is the starting of where our curve is going to come here, here, and inside in here as well. Okay, so you can see here I've got to do this curve portion here. So what I've actually got there at the moment is this kind of flat part here and the flat part here before it actually starts to curve inside in here. Okay, which is going to be a little bit tricky. Okay, and it's all actually going to be based off this section right here. So to be able to complete that, I'm just thinking how we would actually go about it. I've got this line here. I'm going to start from this point here. I'm going to break it up into a little section. So that line there is actually this line right here. Okay, that's going to start helping us identify it. So you can see this edge in here. Okay, that line there is actually this line, because all they've done is they've reproduced this kind of quadrant here, and they're concentric arcs. Okay, one with a radius of 28, one with a radius of 40. Now what they've actually done is they've broken that up into ordinates as well, and they've broken it up into 8 sections. And the reason they've done 8 is because the radius from the center point out to here is 40, so it was easy for them just to go 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and obviously 40. At every one of them, I will project up a vertical line. And that's actually giving me points on my curves. Okay, I've got a curve inside here that is giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, and the curve on the outside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Okay, and I've actually already got one of them here. Okay, I've already got one of them. It's a case then I'm actually going to have to obviously get the other one on the far side as well. Now all of those are obviously going in multiples of 5, so I can actually put those in. Okay, so to be able to do that, I've got this line here. This center point is actually right here. Okay, it's right there. I'm just making sure that it's right there. Yeah, that is right there. And essentially what I'm going to do, there we go, that center point, like we did previously, go properly. I'm going to extend that out a little bit. And for this point up here, just bring it down. Okay, that distance there, that's the section where we're focusing on. I'm going to measure out in my multiples of 5. And you can see once again it's actually 40 millimeters. So just to get those in, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 is there, 35, and the 40. Okay, so you can see all of those there, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, now they're going to help me identify parts of the curve here. Okay, I might actually focus on the bottom one just first. Okay, this little section down here. Okay, and it'll help us get over to this bit here as well. Alright, so to actually do that, I'm going to project across a series of lines. And it's just to that point there. Okay, now with my compass, I'm going to take the distance from here into here for that first one. That distance right there. I come to the first one here, mark it off, take the distance for the next one, slightly smaller, not much, but just a little bit. There's the next one. For the third one, drop it down again. For the fourth one, just count them in. Just make sure you're making no mistake. For the fifth one, here's the sixth. And obviously the seventh one is right in here. So following those points, I would sketch them in. Okay, so we've got the curve at the bottom. Now heavy in this section here. And just to give me a little guide, I know it goes upwards. I'm just going to project the line slightly up. I don't know how far it goes up just yet, so I'm just going to, just to help me start to visualize where it's going to be going in up like that. Okay, now we've got all of those sections. Okay, this is going to be really helpful to us because we've actually got the points where it hits on the curve here, which is going to be extremely helpful to us. Now we want to find the points that are going to maybe make the curve going down here like this and meet the line. Okay, I'll actually extend that line up further ever so lightly, just up to there. Okay, like that. Now, what we're actually going to do is we're using the 5mm kind of cut sections here, okay, the ordinates. We're now going to put them in here on this. On this one, we were able to take the distances backwards, okay, the width's going backwards. But on this one here, when we put in the 5mm going all the way out to here, we'll be able to get the vertical heights, okay, from the elevation. From the plan, we can get the widths. From the elevation, we're able to get, or sorry, the widths and the lengths from the plan. From the elevation, we're able to take the heights. So once again, measuring from here, I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and obviously 40 is already done. 5, 10, all the way out are the same as these 5s here, okay? It's like I'm after taking slices, okay, vertical sections through the object. You can see here now, I'm doing a series of cuts. To help me represent it. Like they've done up here, it'll help us locate various points on the object. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and obviously on the first curve there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points on the front curve. So I'm actually going to focus on that front curve first, and then we'll focus on the back one. So to get all these points, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take the heights up. So to get the very first one on the outside, which would be this one right here, that point there, then I'd have to have a series of other points. So there'd be a line going up like that, a line going up like that. All of those 5mm lines are helping me identify a point, and so on. So I'm going to take the vertical distance off of my object, like that. I will come to the point here, mark it up. Okay, the next one, okay, I would take the height for that, the second one, which would be up from here, okay, and I have to mark it from here. The problem is I haven't put in my line yet, so I'm going to put in that line first, ever so lightly. And once again, as I said, I take the distance there, I would come to it here and mark it up. Okay, and I'm going to continue that the whole way around. So what I'll actually do first of all is I'm going to put in those vertical lines. It's ever so slight a curve. Now one more here. And they will all help me connect up to this point. Every one of them. Okay, from there, having taken those, I got the first one, I'm on to the third one. So here's the third one in. I'm now going to go to the third one in and mark it. Go to the fourth one in, take the height up, change it up. Fourth one in, mark it. On to the fifth one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just don't get confused. 3, 4, 5. And then finally the sixth one. There we go. And the sixth one is here. Just about right. And then the seventh one, if I was to check it, you can always check your accuracy. See what it's like. I'm pretty much on the money. Very accurate and neat and tidy. So you can see all those marks there. So what I want to do is, once again, freehand sketch a curve. Probably looks a little bit different from my sketch down here, but not too far off. It's quite a lot in that there. Okay, so that's that section of it done. Now that I have that section, I'll just go 30 degrees this way to heavy in that. Okay, I've got that bit in now, and the last bit I have to do is this curve going around here. Now, I can actually do this easily enough on some sections, okay? You can see down here, I've actually got the distances because this point here is in line with this one, so it's going to go back at 30 degrees from all these various points from here. The last ones I'll have to get on my own, okay? So, what I'm actually going to do is just using that principle, from all of these points right here that I've previously found, just for the first, let me see, one, so from this one, I've already done the first one. So from this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll be able to do the first 5. So here we go. 1, project back. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So from all of those, I projected back at 30 degrees because once again, they're at the same actual height. Okay, every one of them is at the same height. The only difference is that it's further back. So from all of those, I'll actually now take the heights you'll see here now. From all of those, I'm going to take distances between the curves. So that's the first one. I'll take that distance and you'll actually see that most of them should be the same. Okay, so from here, I got the first one, mark it back. Then I'll take the distance for the next one. Let's make sure it's on the money. Mark it back from the next one. Likewise, now I'm on to the next one here. Okay. Let's make sure I'm on the right one. Yep. So that's that one. On to this one. They're getting slightly longer as we go along. They won't always stay the same length. On to this one now. This one here. Take that distance there. Okay, and you can see the makings of the curve. I've got up to that one there. I've only got 2 more, 1 and 2 to find. And I'll show you how we'll complete that in a second. Just very quickly going to sketch that as much as I can in, ever so lightly, to start making that curve. So there's the curve started, and I need to be able to finish it around to there. So just to get that little bit there, I'm actually thinking how I'll do this now. I'm actually going to do it on the ground and then bring it up, and I'll take the heights. So the 2 that we were missing was this one here. If we count them over, so from the start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was missing 7 and 8, okay? Because 9 we've already got here. So I was missing 7 and 8, which was this one and this one. Now, for 7 and 8, what I'm going to do is, on the ground, I'm going to project them out at 30 degrees. And at 30 degrees, okay, and if you imagine that curve was in the inside on the ground, there'll be a curve going in there as well. Okay, I don't have to draw it because I can't see it, but really there should be a curve going in there like that. Now for 7 and 8, I'm going to find where they are on the ground, and then I can take the heights up. Okay, so to actually get those from 7 and 8, remember like we did here previously, where we took all these ones, I'm now going to take the distances for number 7 out to the back. So I'm taking that distance there, come out to number 7 here, what I'm calling number 7, there's that one, and I'll do the exact same for the next one. Just going to be a bit closer, go to number 8, and there's that one. Okay, now I don't need to actually draw them in, that's just a portion of the curve at the back between this point here and here. But what it's helping me identify is, if it's there on the ground, it has to be directly above it on the top. So straight up and straight up. Okay, now what I can do is, where they've gone straight up, I can take the vertical height for them, and the vertical height would be got from here. So there's number 7, there we go. Now we'll come to the number 7 point here. Yeah, it's working out perfect. I would then take the height up for the number 8, there's the number 8. I've marked those, and now heavy those in and bring this back in around, and that looks good. Just gonna heavy all of that in, make sure it's going through the points. My accuracy is pretty good. And there you have it. If you actually look at my sketch from the original one to the actual completed drawing here, you can actually see that it was not too far off, okay? Probably estimated this kind of coming down a little bit more here, whereas there's probably a little bit more of an arch to it up here in the actual drawing. Quite a bit of detail in that one. I did put in the back curve here, but what you can actually see is we've taken a series of, actually these would all be known as vertical cutting sections, okay? And we're using that principle of ordnance to help us actually complete the drawing. Quite a bit in that drawing there, guys. But if you're able to do something like that, you have good understanding of how to work your way around an object. Okay, so that's the question complete there, guys. I hope you found that helpful.